Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Benjamin, CEO and founder here at Wholesalers, and today I wanted to create a video answering one of the most common questions that I get talking to wholesalers, and that's, should you run local or virtual targeting as a real estate investor in PPC/Facebook ads? With that said, let's go into the iPad and dive straight into it. The three main things I'm going to cover in this video is defining what I consider local versus virtual targeting, why people fail, and numbers and examples as to how that happens, and finally, how we set our clients up for success regardless of whether they're going a few cities in a state or going across the nation. So let's dive into what I consider local versus virtual targeting, understanding our definitions before we get into the specifics. So local is anything from 5 to 10 cities and counties within a specific state. So I actually took a screenshot of one of our clients' accounts that's doing incredibly well in a very, very tough market. And as you can see here, it's California, right? So Fresno, Kern, LA, Sacramento, San Diego, San Jose, and Tulane, right? So these are a mix of cities and counties, right? And on the map, on Google PPC, obviously you could see like the little areas. I'm not from California, but obviously we could see it right here. This is what I consider a local client, right? Now, if we go down here, this is what I would consider a virtual client, right? They're in all these states. They're in Atlanta, Austin, Baltimore. I'm not going to read all this, but like you can read it yourself, right? This client is also murdering it, right? And I want to make something very clear. When I say murdering it or a client is doing well, it's all relative, right? And the way I look at it, the one metric that I look at is just return on ad spend. I don't care too much, like cost per lead is important, but it's not the end all be all metric, because our client in California, his cost per lead is a lot higher than our client that's virtual. But the client that's virtual, his assignment fee is a lot smaller than the guy in California, right? So it's a bit of a ping pong back and forth type of thing. So at the end of the day, the only number that I look at is ROAS. That way I know a client's performing well, because everything's relative based on different markets, right? So virtual on the bottom, target local on top. That's our definitions. It's hard to get into specifics if we don't define our terms properly. So with that said, why do people fail, as well as examples of solutions? The biggest things I've noticed is that the reason people fail, broken down in one sentence, is the economics of their business model doesn't justify their cost. I'll give you an example. Let's say a client is getting a $300 cost per lead in a competitive market like California, right? If we know that his lead to contract is 10%, meaning for every 10 leads that we send him, 10 leads that come in through the campaigns, he's getting one contract or one deal. That means his cost per deal is about $3,000. You may be wondering, how did you calculate this? You just multiply it, right? It's simple. No, you divide it, excuse me, apologize. You divide it, you divide 300 divided by 10% or 0.1, you get 3,000, right? Now this is where it gets tricky. The average assignment fee, there can be one guy in this market that's getting $8,000, and there could be another guy that's getting $30,000 per deal, right? And this comes down to how good you are, and we're gonna get into that specifically. One client could spend $3,000, if we know this is the median, and get $8,000. That's only a 2.6x ROAS. It's good, it's not great. I wouldn't even say it's good. It's like you're barely getting by, basically. You're barely profitable, in my opinion. Other people are happy with the 2x. Good for them. But another client can also get a $30,000 average assignment fee. Obviously, we want the more the better, right? Because at the end of the day, we're in this business to make money. And this client, he could spend $3,000, get $30,000. That's a 10x ROAS. The difference here is a 285%. In this situation right here, I answered, the only way to make these numbers work, make this money model right here, this local money model work for this client, is by changing the profit per deal, right? Profit per deal, average assignment fee, whatever you want to call it, revenue per deal, it's the same thing. And from what I've noticed makes the biggest difference is the exit strategy and market expertise. It's easier said than done, but if I have a client in California, they're willing to pay upwards of $5,000, $6,000, even $8,000 for a deal because they know their average assignment fee is minimum $30,000. Some of them are higher, like $40,000, $50,000 because they know the market so well, but the only way they make that work is because their fee is so high. You can't spend $7,000 on a deal and only make $8,000 back. You're guaranteed to go out of business, right? You're guaranteed to lose, right? And obviously, I'll get into it right here, but Mark Cuban, I believe it was, on Shark Tank said, the person who can pay the most to acquire a customer and deal always wins. And the reason that is because on the back end, the profit, the revenue, the lifetime value that they're going to make on each deal is a lot higher in conjunction, in comparison to what they're spending, right? So same thing, if I tell an average wholesaler, like, hey man, you know, in some of these markets, the cost per deal is upwards of $5,000 to even $7,000. As an example, they're gonna be like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. But a smart investor that I speak to is like, oh, well, what's the average sign fee? And they're like, oh, it's 30, 40K, and the return on ad spend is there. The money model makes sense. The economics, if you would, then now they're turned on because they know that other people are not willing to pay that, giving them a competitive advantage and eventually winning. This is simply what I learned from my client because this is what they taught me, right? And like I said, the biggest determining factors is exit strategies and expertise. So our biggest clients, the ones that are getting these fat rips, or, you know, fat rips as in big assignment fees, are novations, flips, and flat fee MLS listings, right? Other exit strategies as opposed to just 70% minus ARV cash offers, right? Like I said, when you have the resources and the ability to get a bigger profit per deal, it enables you to justify that higher cost per deal because the ROAS is still there. And at the end of the day, as long as the return on ad spend is there and that ratio is there, you're going to make money, right? So, a follow-up question that I always get is, why do so many people encourage going virtual? And I'll break and debunk this once and for all. The simple answer is that it's easier to make the economics of this business work. And here's why. If I work with a client, we get volume of leads for $100 per lead, so it's a lot cheaper than $300 a lead or even less. You can get Facebook leads for like 20, 30, 40 bucks, right? And it gets you 15 leads to get one deal. That means your cost per deal is about $1,500, right? Yeah, 15 to 1. So you multiply 100 times 15, that's 1,500. And because of that, you're getting smaller assignment fees because it's a volume game at this point. So if we know that smaller assignment fees are 8K and you're spending 1,500 to get this 8K, that's a 5X ROAS. That's sustainable. So for clients that don't have the biggest budgets, it's best for them to go virtual, to go into other markets, connect with people in those markets. That way they can make the money model work. Because if they don't connect with other people and they just try to make $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in PPC ad spend work in California, you're guaranteed to lose, right? So the smarter thing to do is go into virtual markets and then go the volume route, right? So like I said, these numbers are just purely demonstration purposes. They're simply examples. I mean, cost per leads, I've seen it in Atlanta as high as like $600. Obviously, we try to get that back down to around $300 to $400. Everybody's numbers is different. And if you want me to sit down and actually walk you through what the numbers would look like in your business, there's a link in the description somewhere, and you can just book a call, and I'm more than happy to lay out the entire projections for you. But the final thing I want to end off with is that all businesses succeed or fail on two pillars. Number one is the economics of the business doesn't make sense. In other words, they're not making money or not profitable, and owner commitment. And what I mean by this is that the owner is the quote unquote lead of the company. And if he sees that he's not making money, his morale, his energy is not going to be that good most of the time, right? And as a result, his entire team is going to be miserable. Nobody wants to work for him, and then they leave. I've seen this many, many times, right? So those are the two things that I've noticed as a side note. So as long as the economics of the business make sense, I guarantee it will grow and scale. Otherwise, it goes out of business and they decide to become coaches. I say that as a joke kindly because today is actually, as you can see on top, I don't know if you can see it, it's December 31st, so it's New Year's Eve right now. And one of the biggest things that I've noticed this year is that there have been a lot of wholesalers that have gone out of the business. They get into business and they get out of business. So this has validated the fact that what comes quick goes quick as well. And I see and it's unfortunate because some of these guys have actually been my clients as well. So they would stop wholesaling and start coaching because they couldn't make the wholesaling work, and it's easier to coach than actually do the business. Topic for another day. So with that said, if you enjoyed this video and got value out of it, please don't forget to like, comment, as well as subscribe. In one of my future videos, I want to talk about when perfect time for PPC, like who should be running PPC versus who shouldn't be running PPC. And this is from data points that I've collected from our best performing clients and our not so good performing clients over the last 5 years. And I think this is really going to be powerful for people to see and determine whether or not they should run PPC, because if you do it properly, it could be the best thing you've ever done for your company. But if you're not ready for it, it is going to put you out of business, right? So if you want to see that, please subscribe, turn on the bell notifications thing, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.